TV soap news and spoilers say that on a sultry summer evening in the heart of Crestwood, where secrets simmer beneath polished facades and alliances shift like shadows, the residents of this seemingly idyllic town found themselves entangled in a web of drama, betrayal, and unexpected reunions. July 29, 2025, marked a day of reckoning for the characters of Beyond the Gates, as personal battles erupted and long-buried truths clawed their way to the surface. From Vanessa's desperate attempts to mend fractured bonds to June's haunting encounter with her past, and Dany's misadventure in love and misunderstanding, the day was a whirlwind of emotions that left no one unscathed. Buckle up as we dive deep into the chaos, heartbreak, and revelations that defined this unforgettable episode. Vanessa's impossible mission. Bridging the divide between Doug and Joey in the dimly lit corner of Crestwood's upscale Sapphire Lounge, where the clink of crystal glasses mingled with hushed whispers, Vanessa Harper stood at the crossroads of loyalty and love. Her heart, a battleground of conflicting emotions, belonged to Joey Malone, a man whose charm was as intoxicating as it was destructive. But tonight, her mission was to broker peace between Joey and his estranged friend, Doug Carver, whose simmering resentment threatened to ignite a firestorm. The tension between Doug and Joey had been brewing for months, rooted in a reckless gambling spree that had spiraled out of control. Joey, with his devil-may-care grin and a penchant for high-stakes poker, had lured Doug into the neon-lit underbelly of Crestwood's underground casinos. What began as a thrill-seeking escapade quickly turned into a financial nightmare, with Doug losing thousands and Joey shrugging off the consequences with his usual nonchalance. Now, Doug's bitterness had hardened into a cold, unrelenting grudge, and Vanessa found herself caught in the crossfire. Vanessa, radiant in a crimson dress that hugged her curves, approached the table where Doug sat nursing a whiskey, his eyes dark with suppressed anger. "Doug, please," she began, her voice soft but laced with urgency. "Joey didn't mean for things to get this bad. Can't you talk to him? For me?" Her plea hung in the air, fragile as a spider's web, but Doug's response was sharp enough to cut through it. "Talk to him?" Doug scoffed, slamming his glass down. "He's the one who dragged me into that mess, Vanessa. I lost my savings, my car, hell, I almost lost my house. And you're defending him?" His voice rose, drawing curious glances from nearby patrons. Vanessa's cheeks flushed, but she held her ground, her loyalty to Joey unwavering despite the storm brewing around her. Joey's gambling addiction was no secret in Crestwood. Whispers of his late-night binges at the Red Diamond Casino had spread like wildfire, painting him as both a reckless rogue and a tragic figure. Vanessa, however, saw something more, a man trapped in his own demons, too proud or too broken to seek help. She had urged him to attend therapy, to confront the compulsion that threatened to ruin him, but Joey's response was always the same, a charming smile and a promise to handle it. Yet, as the debts piled up and friendships crumbled, it was Vanessa who bore the burden of his choices, playing the role of peacemaker, lover, and apologist all at once. Tonight, her efforts to reconcile Doug and Joey were nothing short of Herculean. She arranged the meeting at the Sapphire Lounge, hoping the neutral ground and a few drinks might soften Doug's resolve. But Doug's anger was a fortress, impenetrable and cold. "You're blind, Vanessa," he said, his voice low and cutting. "Joey's not just an addict, he's a walking disaster. And you're out here playing the devoted wife, cleaning up his messes while he parades you around town like some trophy." The words stung, not least because they held a kernel of truth. Vanessa's devotion to Joey was the talk of Crestwood, her affection spilling over in ways that raised eyebrows and sparked gossip. From stolen kisses in the town square to late-night dances at the Velvet Room, she wore her love for Joey like a badge of honor, even as it drew her deeper into his chaos. Yet, beneath her fierce loyalty lay a flicker of doubt, a quiet fear that she was losing herself in the process of saving him. As the night wore on, Vanessa's attempts at mediation faltered. Joey arrived late, his leather jacket slung carelessly over one shoulder, his grin as disarming as ever. "Dougie, my man," he said, sliding into the booth. Let's bury the hatchet, huh? But Doug's icy stare silenced him, and the air grew thick with unspoken accusations. Vanessa's heart sank as she realized that some wounds ran too deep for her words to heal. The question lingered, was Doug's criticism of Joey justified, or was he merely deflecting blame for his own choices? After all, Doug had followed Joey into the casino willingly, seduced by the promise of easy money. Perhaps the truth lay in the gray, where both men shared the weight of their mistakes. June's ghostly reunion, a face from the past across town. In the quaint, ivy-covered cafe known as the Willow's Whisper, June Caldwell sat sipping chamomile tea, her eyes scanning the pages of a worn novel. The cafe, with its warm amber lights and the soft hum of jazz, was her sanctuary. A place to escape the chaos of Crestwood's social scene. But today, that sanctuary was invaded by a ghost from her past, a figure whose sudden appearance sent a shiver down her spine. The bell above the door chimed, and June looked up to see Naomi Carter striding in, her confident gait unmistakable. Beside her was a woman June hadn't seen in years, Regina, her childhood friend and, some whispered, her long-lost sister. The resemblance was uncanny. The same almond-shaped eyes, the same tilt of the chin, the same cascade of dark curls. June's breath caught in her throat as memories flooded back. Memories of whispered secrets, shared laughter, and a painful parting that had left her heart in tatters. June, Naomi said warmly, oblivious to the storm brewing in June's chest. I want you to meet Regina. I think you two have a lot to catch up on. Regina's smile was tentative, her eyes searching June's face for a sign of recognition or forgiveness. The air between them crackled with unspoken history. A story of love and loss that neither was ready to confront. June and Regina's past was a tapestry of joy and sorrow, woven in the crucible of their youth. They had grown up in Crestwood's less glamorous outskirts, two girls bound by dreams of escape and a bond that felt unbreakable. But a family secret. Rumors of a shared lineage, perhaps a mother who had abandoned one or both, had driven a wedge between them. Regina had left town abruptly at 17, leaving June with questions that had haunted her for decades. Was Regina her sister, her cousin, or simply a friend whose closeness had blurred the lines of family? The truth had always been just out of reach, buried in the silence of their elders. Now, as Regina stood before her, June felt the weight of those unanswered questions. Naomi, ever the connector, seemed unaware of the emotional landmine she had detonated. I ran into Regina at the market, she explained, her voice bright. She's back in town for the Articulette reunion, and I thought, why not bring her here? The Articulette, Crestwood's annual gathering of artists and writers, was a magnet for old faces and new dramas, and Regina's return promised to be both. June managed a polite smile, but her mind was racing. Why had Regina come back now, after all these years? Was it mere coincidence, or was there a purpose behind her return? The possibility that Regina was her sister gnawed at June, stirring a mix of hope and dread. She wanted answers, but she feared what those answers might reveal. As they sat down to talk, the cafe's cozy ambience felt suffocating, each word a step closer to a truth that could either mend or shatter their fragile connection. Dany's misadventure. A heart misled by hope. Meanwhile, in the sprawling, sunlit living room of the Dupree family home, Dany Dupree was grappling with her own brand of drama. The room, with its plush sofas and framed family photos, was a haven of warmth, but today it was the stage for a misunderstanding that left Dany reeling. At the center of it all was Andre Thompson, the charismatic photographer whose presence in Crestwood had set tongues wagging. Dany had always been a romantic, her heart quick to leap at the possibility of love. So when she saw Andre lingering in her parents' living room, his camera slung around his neck and a smile playing on his lips, her imagination ran wild. Was he here to propose to her brother, Vernon? The thought sent a thrill through her, followed by a pang of envy. Vernon, with his quiet charm and steady career, seemed the perfect candidate for a grand romantic gesture. But Andre's casual demeanor quickly dashed her hopes. "Nah, Dany," Andre said with a laugh, adjusting the lens on his camera. "I'm just here to shoot some footage for the Articolette reunion. The Ashleys hired me to capture the event." The Ashleys, Crestwood's glamorous twin sisters, were known for their lavish parties and impeccable taste. Andre's recent date with them had been the talk of the town, and Dany felt a twinge of disappointment that he was entangled with such high-profile figures rather than her brother, or, if she was honest, herself. Dany's crush on Andre was no secret to her family, though she tried to play it cool. His easy confidence and artistic flair had drawn her in, and she had spent weeks daydreaming about a moment that might spark something more. But as Andre chatted about lighting setups and video edits, it became clear that his visit was purely professional. The Articolette reunion, a celebration of Crestwood's creative elite, was the perfect gig for a photographer like Andre, and Dany's romantic fantasies were just that, fantasies. Still, the sting of rejection lingered. Dany watched as Andre moved through the room, his camera clicking as he captured candid shots of her parents laughing over coffee. She couldn't help but wonder what might have been if she had been bolder, if she had confessed her feelings instead of hiding behind her brother's name. The day ended with Dany feeling both foolish and resolute, determined to seize her next chance at love, whenever it might come. A town on the edge of revelation as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting Crestwood in a golden glow, the events of July 29 left an indelible mark on its residents. Vanessa's struggle to mend the rift between Doug and Joey exposed the fragility of trust and the cost of loyalty. June's reunion with Regina opened old wounds and hinted at secrets that could reshape her understanding of family. And Dany's fleeting hope for romance reminded her that love, like life in Crestwood, was never as simple as it seemed. These stories, woven together by the threads of human connection, painted a vivid portrait of a town teetering on the edge of revelation. Behind the gates of Crestwood, where manicured lawns hid tangled lies, every glance, every word, every choice carried the weight of consequence. July 29, 2025, was a day of reckoning, a day when the past collided with the present, and the future hung in the balance. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV soap news and spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.